Madam Speaker, today we have two presentations as we continue the sectoral debate. Let me join with you in welcoming the visitors to the House, especially the students. It's really good to see so many students from so many different institutions in the House today. We will first hear from the Minister with our portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Infrastructure Development, with responsibility for land titling and settlements. He is the Member of Parliament for St. Mary Western, and then we will hear from first-time Member of Parliament from Hanover Eastern, Ms. Andrea Perkins. So join me in welcoming the Honorable Robert Montaque.
Madam Speaker, permission to speak from a seat other than my own.
Permission granted, Minister.
Thank you. Madam Speaker, may I commend you and your astute, fair, and determined leadership of this honorable House. My lady, stay strong. Firstly, I want to give thanks to the Heavenly Father for granting me this privilege, to the Most Honorable Prime Minister for appointing me to his cabinet, and to my colleagues from both sides, thanks for your guidance and friendship. Thank you, member from Eastern Portland. I love the color of your suit. Let me express my appreciation to the clerk and her staff, to Mrs. Arlene Williams, the best and hardest working permanent secretary in Jamaica. To Everett Hyatt, Willard Hilton, Shade Brown, Lisa K. Sadler, Lorraine McFarlane, thank you. To my security team, thanks for all you do. To Natalie Miranda, Deirdre Moulton Gray, Anne-Marie Pollock, Shauna Stewart, Shadeen Kelly, and Dejeuner Connage, my administrative staff, thank you. To the best management team, supervisors, counselors and caretakers, bloggers and party workers, thank you. To the great people of Western St. Mary, thank you for giving me the privilege of serving you for a fourth time. Madam Speaker, in June last year, when friends were few, the workers of Western St. Mary rallied. The people stood by me so that when a 19-point deficit was broadcast and bandied about, some wished that I was done, but I come with it just a come. The JLP team in Western St. Mary had almost no resources, turned a 19-point deficit into a 5-point victory. And this was done in less than 3 months, and therefore placed us in the top 6 candidates with the most votes in the last election. Madam Speaker, that's the stuff that books are written about. The people of Western St. Mary know that this year we will complete the water projects. So Springfield, Heartlands, Halifax, Three Hills, Tower Isle, Brooklyn Road, Kidland, Charlestown, Arokobesa, Mile Gully, and Georgetown will see marked improvement. Bless you, Minister Samuda. The clinics in Fellowship Hall and Wood Park will soon be done. So thanks to the Honorable Minister Tufton and his team. And in Hunstown, thanks to the Allen family from Top Pen for donating lands free of cost, they will get a new clinic. I also wish to pause at this moment to express condolences to the family of Ione Brown, a midwife who conceptualized, advocated for, and worked towards establishing the Fellowship Hall Clinic. Nurse Brown passed at age 93. I wish to thank Minister Bartlett and his tourism team. Minister Grange, thanks for the work on the mini stadium, and we look forward to phase 2. Minister Green, the farmers and fisher folks say big up. And the people of Heartland say remember the commitment you publicly made to them when you came to Geisel at the Irish potato launch. Minister Morgan, All of Western St. Mary has asked me to thank you for what you are doing, but they're also asking when you're coming to tour our roads. Mango Valley and Mile Gully said at 1 p.m. promised them a road, and they are confident that he will follow through because he has never failed them yet. The Taki school community wants Dr. Dixon to know that they are still waiting patiently on her to purchase the land beside the school so that they can have one campus. I also wish to congratulate Taki as a powerhouse in schoolboy cricket. Recently, the school's under 14 cricket team bowled out your Castle High for 0 all out in 9.2 overs. This has never happened before, but we're still checking the records. So congratulations, Taki High, coming from their main cricket sponsor. Madam, I will speak more about Western St. Mary in the other debate. But I have been entrusted with building out new systems and methods to making land titling and land settlement better, because we are building on a strong foundation to secure Jamaica's future. I also have a great team at the National Land Agency, one of the best agencies of government, if not the best. I wish to congratulate the National Land Agency on their 25th anniversary. Please take a bow, Ms. Walcott, on behalf of a great team at the NLA. Madam Speaker, it is always good to start at the beginning. We have found at the Land Agency that the oldest land title in Jamaica, Volume 2, Folio 1, is for 10 acres in Green Valley, Agwalta Vale, St. Mary, dated in 1894. We are appealing to anyone out there with an older title or any old title to come forward so we can have them recorded. There are approximately 970,000 parcels of land on our valuation roll. 550,000 do have titles, but we know that they have been informal subdivisions, so most of our lands do not have a registered title, and more do not have the title registered in the current occupant's name. We have 379 land settlements, a combination of land lease and land settlements, with 62,690 formal parcels of land. Our checks have so far revealed that approximately 35% of the 62,900 have been informally subdivided. So between untitled lands, informal subdivisions, non-owner occupants, and land settlements, we need approximately 600,000 new titles to completely solve the land titling challenges we face as a country. As a result, land cannot be properly passed through generations. Property disputes, death, broken families, and the true benefits cannot be realized from the land. Government cannot get the right amount of taxes, and citizens cannot get the services they need, like regular garbage collection, fire services, and street lights. We do, madam, have a problem. How are we as a government moving to solve the problem? We have elevated land titling portfolio to cabinet level. We are moving to solve the lack of human resources by partnering with the government and people of South Korea in opening a training school to train surveyors, draftsmen, readers, checkers, and all related professions in land matters except in lawyers. We thank the government and people of South Korea for signing off and funding this US $9 million project. The impact of this partnership will be enormous, and the bulk of the funds will be used to invest in our people and expand the pool of available professionals. It will also introduce new technologies and will increase our capacity to produce more titles. We have signed an agreement with the Certified Commercial Investment Member Institute, CCIMI, to further train and certify our realtors. The CCIMI is a world-recognized professional certification, only available in 31 countries, and Jamaica now makes 32. Result in more highly trained and skilled professionals in the real estate sector. We are putting on more workshops for lawyers on how to complete land applications, and these courses are accredited. We have increased our panels of referees from 1 to 5, and we intend to appoint more. We will increase our public education as to how to get a title. We are appointing more and more adjudication committees, and we are exploring the option of referring adverse possession applications to adjudication committees. We intend to digitize all our processes, including surveys, so that we can begin by next September the issuing of e-titles. This will make the process smoother, easier, and more secure. This will then allow us to do upwards of 30,000 or more e-titles per year. Madam Speaker, we now have a partnership with Fujisto to digitize our records and introduce new technologies into our processes to make them faster yet more secure. We intend by next September, as I said before, to begin issuing e-titles and recalling old titles. The e-title system will also help landowners to watch their properties so that they will be alerted if someone applies to title their lands. This will reduce the instances of persons moving to take over your land by adverse possession. There will be a fee, of course, for this property watch service. Madam Speaker, some people are abusing the adverse possession arrangements. Some have made an industry out of it. While we as a government support the productive use of land, we do not support wholesale and speculative possession. Equally, landowners here and abroad cannot have lands and do not exercise ownership. We appeal to you to visit your lands, fence it, use it productively, pay your taxes, or sell it. But do not just abandon it. Do not leave it to chance. However, we are examining how we can refer adverse possession applications to the local adjudication committees for their input on these applications, as the committee members are mainly from the local community and will be able to give more information rather than the referees who are stuck in Kingston. This, along with the property watch service, will help to level the playing field. But the best remedy is for you to use the land productively. We want our lands in production. We want to encourage landowners that they must watch their properties and make economic use of it. Paying a little taxes does not solve the adverse possession challenge. Landowners must also occupy and use their lands. It will also help the government by more accurately identifying idle lands. Digitizing the processes will also help us to identify and flag informal subdivisions whenever we are updating the valuation rules. Madam Speaker, it will take us about 2 decades to get our titling issues resolved if we have the full cooperation of the public. Longer without it. We have 2 major streams for titling: systematic, voluntary, or ad hoc. Under the systematic land registration process, the government declares an area and provides surveyors to survey every parcel in the declared area, pays for the lawyers to do the applications, and produce the title. A caveat is then lodged against the title until the money is paid back. However, no interest is applied and you can pay in installments over time. The voluntary or ad hoc process is when you have land in an area that's not declared as systematic, so you do your own survey, pay your lawyer, or come to the LAMP office to do the application. Under the systematic land process, the government pays upfront, and in the ad hoc or voluntary land process, you pay upfront. Madam Speaker, many of our small land occupants find it a little challenging sometimes to find the surveyor's fees. So the Most Honorable Prime Minister has instructed that we find a solution. We have therefore proposed that a revolving fund will be established where landowners of 2 acres or less can apply for a surveyor's fee loan. Once the applicant applies through LAMP, an NLA-trained and certified lawyer or a recognized land management service company, they will qualify and these funds will go directly to the surveyor and a caveat lodged against the title so that the taxpayers will recover the money. This will greatly help many families who today cannot afford to pay a survey. In our drive for partnerships, Madam Speaker, we have taken our manifesto and election promise forward. We have met with our churches and their organizations, and we are working with them to utilize the window that has been established to get untitled church lands titled. We have trained their lawyers. We have listened to and helped to identify the issues as they refer the parcels to us. We are confident that church-owned lands, including schools, clinics, community playing fields, will eventually be titled, and we hope the churches will join us in encouraging others to get their titles. Madam Speaker, the National Land Agency, through the Commissioner of Lands, will expand the vendor's mortgage window. This will allow persons who have bought government lands to immediately get their titles with a registered vendor's mortgage. This will allow them to continue paying their installments, but they will have their titles in their hands. Madam Speaker, we are in the middle of an intensive consultation and discussion program as to our squatting challenges. We know that there is a need for land for the landless and also for orderly development. There is also the need for respect for property rights. Some of the issues under discussion are: should we reduce the time for adverse possession of crown lands? Should we increase the time for private lands for adverse possession? How do we balance the various needs? But we have settled on some points, Madam Speaker. No member of parliament, nor councillor, nor JP, nor big man, nor area leader can sell government land. So to those persons scamming people and says the MP send them, stop it. Because the MP never send you go do nothing like that. Madam Speaker, we want to remove the incentive. We want to remove the incentive for land scamming. Remember, government lands belong to the people. It is bought for development. People are squatting on lands reserved for schools, clinics, roadways, and even one historic site. This is a massive cost to rehabilitate and resettle areas after it has been informally settled. We have met with all the MPs with a squatting challenge. So as of today, June 9th, people who go onto crown lands will no longer be considered for a settlement program. If you're there already, you're there already. But we're not dealing with the new people. And after further investigations, those who sell crown lands will be prosecuted and those who buy will lose their money. So check with the National Land Agency before you buy any cheap land. Buying land is not like buying rice and flour. There is a legal process, but always remember, if it sounds too good to be true, then it is not true. Save your money. We have done drone and spatial surveys, and we know what is already on crown lands. So if you go on the land after today, you must face the consequences. In the meantime, we will soon announce a major program to address squatting in a structured, orderly, and legitimate manner. Madam Speaker, after Hurricane Melissa, this government moved swiftly to acquire containerized houses to help those whose houses were completely destroyed. The Prime Minister has recently asked me to give some oversight towards the completion of this project. We collectively express support to the families that were affected by Hurricane Melissa and express our deepest regrets to those who mourn the loss of loved ones. As I gather the facts, examine the systems, and move to build out the units for our fellow Jamaicans, I make an appeal for us to be united as a nation in this effort. I seek consensus, not confrontation. I seek help, not hindrance. I seek solutions, not setbacks. The people need solutions, solace, and stability. To help our brothers and sisters in need, we must be our sole aim, our sacred objective and our national goal. It is the first time Jamaica has attempted this type of project in such a big way. So let me admit that we will not always get everything right every time. We are only humans. But we must use all resources, all safeguards, and oversights to implement the project. We have just established and signed a memorandum of understanding with other ministries, agencies, and stakeholders to share data on available land, occupancy, property damage, and beneficiary information. This will help to prevent duplication and delays and lessen informal squatting. So to that end, we established a broad-based housing committee to not only deal with containerized housing, but housing in Jamaica in general. The type, the needs, the standards, the affordability. We invited people from both local and central government, professional bodies, the private sector, our universities, contractors, developers, hard trusts, and all agencies that had dealings with housing. The Integrity Commission was intended an invitation to the Auditor General. The opposition is an integral player, and I wish to pause to publicly thank Mr. Mark Golding for his gracious and kind letter, in which he brought to my attention that the person we had listed as the opposition representative had not been named by him. We acknowledged this and added his nominee while still retaining the original person. We wish to place on record our thanks for all the committee members for their contribution. So much can be achieved when we work together. This committee produced a repair manual done by the Bureau of Standards based on the building codes, suggested no-build zones, and we will be segmenting the building code to better meet the needs of our people. The Prime Minister from early in the process had mandated that the basis and accompanying works for these units should come from donated funds. This is so that people who donated their hard-earned cash could clearly see and know how their money was spent and on what. Furthermore, in years to come, they can come and look at the basis to these containerized homes and feel satisfied that their donation helped to bring comfort to a family, shelter after a storm, and a home for a child. The Auditor General's report on donated funds has vindicated the Prime Minister's wise decision. As you go through the report, it has not said any funds are missing or misappropriated. The spend has been slow, that's true, because we are following other processes and navigating uncharted waters. But the hard-earned donations of Jamaicans, foreigners, agencies, companies, and partners are all accounted for. All of Jamaica should take a bow. This is a proud moment in our journey as a young nation. Having been hit by the most devastating weather event, thousands of people were displaced, many government systems and people affected, prolonged period without basic services and even food shortages. In some areas, farms destroyed, but nevertheless, we have held our collective head high because the people's hard-earned money that was donated is all accounted for. No thought, no suggestion, no conclusion of any irregularity. Prime Minister, congratulations. Once again, you have demonstrated the type of leadership that continues to make Jamaicans proud. The audit was not only about how much was unspent or spent. It also showed some gaps and showed up some weaknesses. And the country can be assured that our Prime Minister has already moved to implement the recommendations, strengthen the weaknesses, and close the gaps. The Auditor General's report was good for Jamaica. It shows that the government can account for donated money. It helps our organizations, charities, and other institutions who also receive funds. It lights the way to accountability. Maybe some of these bodies who got donated funds should at least say how much was donated, how much was spent, and how much is left. And of course, what are they going to use it for? Accountability requirements are not just only for government, it is for all Jamaicans. It was originally felt that some 12,000 homes were needed, but many people pulled on insurance, family, community, their own resources and began to rebuild. The government also assisted thousands under the Roofs program. This government, this Andrew Holness-led government, has already spent some $67 billion on hurricane relief and recovery. And Madam Speaker, we have spent it while still maintaining the fundamentals of the economy. The sacrifice of our people, the wise leadership of our Prime Minister and his team has allowed us to spend the $67 billion on our people while not ruining the economy. This is not a run with it moment, this is management. The Ministry of Labour and Social Security and the Ministry of Local Government and Community Development now estimate that approximately 2,000 to 2,500 people need the containerized solutions. We have an order 2,524 units, and the government and people of China have donated 200 units for a total of 2,724. Of that amount, 1,424 are on the island. 900 are being held by the Jamaica Defense Force in Western Jamaica. And Madam Speaker, 1,200 of these units now in the island were bought by the National Housing Trust, and more is to come because the Housing Trust is committed to buying 2,500 units. We thank the National Housing Trust, and therefore this questions the argument that the National Housing Trust is not providing enough for enough Jamaicans. When we moved to build out the bases for some units in Westmoreland, for some persons in shelters, we had already completed 5 bases when an agency rightfully questioned an issue, and we had to stop and rework the matter. That incident provided valuable insight, and we are moving to give the beneficiaries a grant and allow them to build their own bases, but they must be inspected and passed by the municipal authorities in their locale. We also wish to thank the Red Cross, which has donated 300 wooden houses, as well as other NGOs and individuals for their assistance with providing housing help. The Red Cross houses will be distributed by them. The Honorable Prime Minister has also instructed the National Housing Trust to build out a section of any current scheme, especially in Western Jamaica, to accommodate persons who are to be relocated. This will help in reducing the cost of support infrastructure. We are hopeful that each NHT scheme island-wide will have that section that our less fortunate people can be adequately catered for. On this note, the PM has also instructed the NHT to seek their board's consent to solve the sewage issue for the Lighthouse Road squatter regularization project in St. Mary. The issue of delayed, misaligned recommendations or advice and slow bureaucracy makes the case why NARA is needed and needed now. Madam Speaker, for any unused units, here is the plan. We are going to keep some units for future disasters and store them with ADPEN. Other units will be donated to those infirmaries with space to help reduce our social patients in hospital and release the estimated 270 beds that are occupied in our public hospitals. These beds are needed by those who are genuinely sick. The new social housing program will benefit, if any is left, and other social programs, including those operated by members of parliament. It must be noted that the base and attendant works for the units include the bench platforms, sewage system, steps to get into the unit, the cost of transporting the unit from the storage site to the construction site, clearing the construction site, and the lift truck to lift the unit so that it can be locked in. So it's not just about building the base. It's also about how people will have to get into the unit. And that is why we have decided to allow the beneficiaries and their communities to assist. When done this way, better care will be taken of the units. Madam Speaker, the government through the Ministry of Housing owns and maintains 113 housing schemes. Some as rental schemes and some as freehold, but they were never transferred to the owners. But starting this year, we will have them assess and do the corrective works on at least one scheme so that we can apply to the municipal authorities for certificates of completion, have them strataed, and then titles issued to the beneficiaries. They have been waiting too long. Madam Speaker, based on the amnesty for people owing 150,000 or less to government for housing units, we have found that over 2,000 housing accounts qualify. This government, this caring government, is moving to produce and release titles for the long-awaiting first-time homeowners. The ministry, as part of the hurricane response, assisted over 3,000 persons with copies of their documents that were destroyed or damaged at no cost to them. We had the documents on file, copies of them on file, so we were more than happy to produce copies for the people. We have distributed over 1,000 titles so far this year, and we have more to do. As a matter of fact, in Mandeville, they are now calling the Prime Minister the titler. This financial year, we intend to produce over 5,000 titles, including in Southwest St. Andrew. Our surveyors are currently doing 4,000 surveys, and in partnership with the NHT, we intend to do more. We are in discussion with the Ministry of Mining to finalize a project to create titles for the over 3,000 Jamaicans who have been relocated by the bauxite industry and cannot get titles. This government, this Andrew Holness-led government, is moving to correct that. Madam Speaker, it is our intention this year to pass the Registration Shared Community Act, which has been referred to as Joint Select. We also intend to introduce an amendment to the Registration of Titles Act, which will have consequential amendments to the Special Provisions Act, the Land Surveyors Act, and the Land Valuation Act. Madam Speaker, there are too many Jamaican families who have worked land for years and cannot realize the full benefits from the land because it is not theirs. Too many schools, churches, and clinics cannot get access to grant funding because they have no proof of ownership. Too many wasted hours because of family fights over deadlift. Too many lives have been lost. Too much wasted potential. But, Madam Speaker, no more. This government is determined to right the wrongs of the past and properly title every square inch of Jamaica using technology, training, and partnerships. We are building on the strong foundations for generations to come. To those awaiting containerized housing solutions, we seek your continued patience as we work through the bureaucracy. The solution is close. Yes, we understand that sometimes the bureaucracy feel like it might kill democracy, but there are laws, rules, and regulations that we must observe. We seek your understanding. We were happy to help those that needed to copy documents, happy that we have begun to issue titles or carve the path for you in government high-rise buildings to get your title. Thanks for the professionals' help in establishing suggested no-bill zones as we recover forward. I also extend thanks to the staff in the various government entities and ministries as we work to improve our systems. Madam Speaker, my father of blessed memory, who would have been 109 last Sunday, has always said, everyone should get their name on one of 3 rolls or books. The book of life. You must, he says, take the golden pen and write your name up there. The voters' roll, so that you can continue to exercise your franchise and vote for the Jamaica Labour Party to continue in office. And finally, he says, get your name in the registrar's book of titles. Own a little piece of Jamaica. Own a piece of the rock and make sure it is properly titled. Madam Speaker, this is not just about land. It is about building strong foundations, member from St. Thomas East. This is a call for all of us to use our energies and efforts to get our peoples titled so that Jamaica may, under God, increase in beauty, fellowship, and prosperity. Madam Speaker, if it's so please.